the woman noticed something strange while taking pictures. The drop tower clearly had a sign saying high altitude downward, but the light in the photo was turned off. It turned into the meaning of death from a high altitude. Daisy instinctively looked up. She saw that the light above was clearly still on, but before she could react to what was happening, before long, the roller coaster arrived at the waiting area. The staff started checking tickets. When Daisy heard she was assigned seat number 1, she immediately refused, saying she wanted to sit at the back of the roller coaster. Hearing this, Kevin thought about letting his girlfriend sit in the back with Daisy, but Kelly said she only wanted to sit in the front. To be fair, they decided to settle it by flipping a coin, but the outcome was a bit awkward. The two boys sat next to each other's girlfriends. Soon, Daisy and Kevin arrived at seat 6. Before long, the roller coaster arrived at the platform and stopped in front of them. After the passengers from the previous ride got off, everyone began to find their seats, but at that moment, a man with a hat snatched Daisy's seat. Kevin wanted to stop him, but Daisy said it didn't matter if she sat at the back. After Daisy and Kevin left, the man with the hat immediately flashed a lewd smile. It turned out his goal in taking Daisy's seat was to secretly take pictures of the two beautiful women in front of him. Soon, Daisy and Kevin sat in the last row. The safety restraints started coming down. The staff came over to check if the equipment was secure, but no one noticed that the hydraulic pipes above them were leaking oil. Just passed. Although the roller coaster incident was over, Daisy couldn't shake the shadow, but as she was about to leave, Kevin suddenly came to her. It turned out he had looked up a lot of information and found that 6 years ago, there was an aviation accident. A boy had predicted the explosion. His actions were the same as Daisy's. Shortly after takeoff, the plane really exploded, and the survivors all died in strange accidents. At first, Daisy didn't believe Kevin's words, but when she saw the photos taken at that time, she noticed something was wrong. The photo her boyfriend took looked eerily like a premonition. A strong sense of unease surged in her heart. Just then, the lights next to her suddenly began to flicker. Daisy quickly opened another photo. She noticed that when she was taking a picture of her two classmates, a bright light shone directly on their faces. The intense reflection looked like it had been burned by flames. Daisy seemed to realize something. She quickly took out her phone and called the girls in the picture, but it seemed to be too late. The two girls were about to go for a tanning session, but the boss had received an urgent call. To prevent the door from slamming shut, the boss placed a tube of toothpaste to block it, but unexpectedly, as the two of them lay down, a strange breeze suddenly blew. The pressure on the toothpaste was too much, and it immediately burst. While the two of them were enjoying their time, a disaster began to unfold. Due to the high temperature of the tanning bed, water droplets quickly formed on the milk teacup. The droplets started to flow down the table, and eventually dripped onto the electrical switch below. The temperature of the machines began to rise. By the time the girls realized something was wrong, it was already too late.
I fucked up. I said it's too hot in here.
Soon, the accident involving the girls was deemed an accident. At the funeral, Daisy met Kevin again. This time, she finally believed Kevin's words. Then Daisy took out the photo from the plane crash 6 years ago. The number 180 on the road sign matched the number of deaths on the flight. Then she took out the photo taken at the amusement park. In the picture, her boyfriend and the two girls both had premonitions. If the sequence of deaths followed the order of the photos, then the next person to die would be the man with the hat, Frankie. But just as they were about to order food and talk, a garbage truck had been wearing. Soon, the accident was declared an accident, but both of them knew this was no accident but a chase by death itself. By following the sequence in the photos, they quickly determined that the next person to die was Jeff. In the photo, Jeff was playing a gravity game, and the place where the gravity ball fell was right on his head. At that moment, Kevin saw a sign saying Sultan, and Sultan was the name of Jeff's team. Then, just as the photo predicted, Jeff's head was crushed by the gravity ball. At that moment, Daisy and Kevin knew the next victim would be McKinley and his girlfriend Erin. But when they arrived, McKinley was saying the same thing as Jeff. Obviously, he didn't believe in Death's chase either. Despite Kevin's efforts to persuade him, McKinley continued to work by himself. And at that moment, the gears of fate began to turn. A disaster was about to unfold.
You know why? Because you sound crazy, so guess how you two sound right now. Crazy.
Although Daisy successfully saved McKinley, Erin didn't escape the fate of death. At that moment, they didn't know whether their intervention had worked. If it hadn't, then the next victim would be Kevin, and then it would be Daisy. But because Daisy had been stopped by the staff while taking photos earlier, they still didn't know who the next victim would be. But that night, as Daisy was reviewing the photos, she suddenly noticed that there was another person in front of her seat. Daisy recognized from the shape of the bracelet that this person was her younger sister, Julie. Thinking of how her sister was supposed to see a show in the town, Daisy quickly called Kevin. Fortunately, Kevin was now working as a security guard at the square. Realizing that the next victim would be them, Kevin hurriedly told Daisy to look at the photo to prepare. But there were no clues in Daisy's photo, and Kevin's face seemed to have been flashed by a strong light. Before she could think too much, Daisy quickly drove to the show venue. At that moment, Kevin found Julie, but Julie seemed to be going through a rebellious phase. She shook Kevin off and ran away, and the fireworks show officially started. At this moment, two unlucky kids lit firecrackers and threw them under the feet of a white horse. With the sound of the explosion, the frightened horse pulled up a wooden stake and started to run. At Kinley's death, Daisy successfully escaped the Grim Reaper's chase. Months passed. During this time, nothing strange happened. Daisy successfully entered college. It seemed like the Grim Reaper really had spared them. But one day, when Daisy was riding the subway, a strong sense of unease surged in her heart again. Hearing the song of a nearby street singer, the unease grew even stronger. Suddenly, a strange breeze blew. Daisy looked and realized the next stop was the final one. At that moment, she seemed to realize something. Daisy knew she had to get off before the last stop. Otherwise, something bad was bound to happen. But just as the doors opened,
You okay? Something wrong?
But unexpectedly, a rat bit the wire, and disaster began to strike at that moment. When it was all over,